The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
The panic button was away for most of the season for the Vancouver Canucks, but guess what?
Man, why are you playing Tyler Myers 19 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game, dude? Are you serious against the Devils? Talk it, man. Dude, you lost us this game, bro.
We're getting a little closer to hitting that panic button. The defense is floundering. The Canucks are starting to look mediocre again. What is going on with this hockey team? We're going to tell you how we feel next on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer for Daily Hive Vancouver, and your co-host here on Locked On Canucks. Before we dive into the episode, we got to thank you, yes you, for tuning into Locked On Canucks. It is your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I also got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Coming up on today's episode of Locked On Canucks, we got 3 segments on the show. Got to do the ad reads, but you know what? It's a little less structured today because Kyle and I got a vent, okay? I was at the game last night, and, I felt not bad entertainment-wise after that loss, but looking back on it, there was a lot of red flags about that game against the New Jersey Devils, who they had the Canucks seeing red last night. I know Kyle's got some thoughts on this game. I got to talk about Kuzmenko versus Tocchet. I want to talk about Filip Hronek a bit. But before we do that, let me introduce someone who always makes me happy when times are tough. Kyle Bhawan, how's it going, brother?
I'm sad, man. I'm really sad. I'm hurt. I'm disgusted. I can't even spell right. Look at the YouTube solution. I can't even spell anything right, dude. I'm in a bad predicament right now. Yesterday, no joke, bro. You don't got to send help. You don't got to call my parents. You don't got to tell my mom. But I took some melatonin last night after the game. I need to go right to bed, bro. AKA, I took sleeping pills. Sleeping pills to get over it. Because right now we're swimming in mediocrity, and 13 games is a lot of games. A lot of games. And there's a handful of those games that weren't even close when it comes to the scoreboard. 13 games, a lot of games, and your Canucks right now aren't doing it, and that's providing consistency. And I'm a little traumatized, man, and I hope that you can walk me off the bridge. I hope you can. But right now, it's dark. It's really dark for me and the Vancouver Canucks, and I guarantee some fans are going through it right now. I want to start by saying sorry. Again, maybe Trevor can help me, but this is definitely going to be a bit of an emotional therapy session for myself, maybe Trevor, but myself for sure.
Yeah, Kyle, it's interesting. I think when we chatted last week, when the Canucks were floundering like they are right now, I tried my best to walk you off the ledge. I think I did a pretty good job, and
Dude,
you
did.
listened.
We traded for Zadorov. And I said we're winning the cup. Like, we want the cup.
Yeah, well, maybe that had more to do with Zadorov than it did me walking you off the ledge. But hopefully, if you tuned into that episode, shout out to the everydayers. Hopefully, I walked you up the ledge as well. But right now, there is cause for concern because I look at this defense, and yeah, they just made a big move to bring in Zadorov. I don't know if anyone outside of maybe Ian Cole played a mistake-free game on the blue line last night. I think for a lot of those Devils goals, I know for one of them, Zadorov, he missed his check. Zadorov also had a brutal turnover in front at one point. Tyler Myers had, another just horrid game.
Oh, yeah.
That went around. I think it might have been the Stanch that tweeted it out, but I was there and saw it live where Tyler Myers, Jack Hughes backs off of Tyler Myers and just waits for him to give up the puck.
Everyone saw it. Myers is an idiot, dude, for that one. That was just stupid, man. But that's Tyler Myers for you, man. Sorry to cut you off. I'm emotional, but that was gross.
No, it's all good. And Hughes missed a check on a goal, and then obviously on the game-winning goal, Filip Hronek was floating up at the hash mark with Jesper Bratt's alone in front. So I think a lot of guys, Ed Juleson missed a check on a goal as well. Like, I think a lot of guys on the defense did not play sharp hockey last night. And maybe I'll ask you how you feel about this quote from Quinn Hughes, because Quinn Hughes did tell reporters after the game that he feels like the Canucks have played good defensively this season, but last night was not their best night.
Oh, yeah,
do you agree with that comment?
No, of course, because, I think a big reason why you were able to calm me down a couple days ago was because you talked about how, yeah, the Canucks were losing games here, but they weren't generally giving up high danger scoring chances. They weren't making a lot, but they also weren't giving them up. And I was kind of like, you know what, you're right. We're just not getting that extra save. And it's quite ironic because I feel as if yesterday was probably our best. I know we scored 5 goals and that's why it looks like it, but I'm just saying in general, it was our best offensive output in a very long time. We actually looked like an aggressive team. And there's this rhetoric going around that the Vancouver Canucks lost to the Devils because they're faster than us and they beat us with this speed. They're dynamic, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case. We could match, not like with pure acceleration. We can't match that type of pace with the Devils, but we can keep up. And I thought we kept up yesterday. I think the only reason we lost was not because of the speed. It was just because of defensive breakdowns, little miscues. It was bad. It was really bad. And you brought up Tyler Myers, and I want to put some of the blame on Rick Tocchet. I really do, because I think he's empowering some of these depth guys way too much. Because this is a 13-game stretch where the Canucks are struggling. It's not, like we've won 4 out of 5, and now you want to experiment with the minutes and cut down Hughes and Hronek's minutes, blah, blah, blah. Look, I think it's a bit irrational for him to split up the D-core. I know sometimes they make mistakes and whatnot, but to put them in a blender, because I feel as if you're watering down one of the weakest points of your lineup, a.k.a. just keep Hughes and Hronek together. Just keep them together. Do it. I don't know why he's mixing it up all the time. It's just, this is not the D-core to do that with. I don't know if it would have made up for a victory, but I'm just not in position to empower Tyler Myers and give him 17 minutes a game, 18 minutes a game, you know? It makes little to no sense to me. Now, again, that's hard to do because you got Noah Juulsen playing too. But, man, oh man, I think Rick Tocchet has to take some accountability here, because even though yesterday he did say that he didn't really have a grip on the defensive pairings, I think it was Adam's Foot's responsibility. I don't know. It just seems like the rational thing to do to stay calm there and not make moves that, again, allow a guy like Tyler Myers, who gifts other teams momentum when he's playing too much, an opportunity to play more.
No, Kyle, I'll say I think you're bang on Tyler Myers, and I think everyone listening right now to Locked On Canucks, every person in Canucks Nation would agree with you. Like, even when I'm at the game last night, I'm screaming at Tyler Myers. The girl beside me, she's calling out Tyler Myers. I think she's like literally said when the game was 6-5, I blame Tyler Myers, even though he wasn't on the ice. Because like you said, he gifted momentum. Kyle, what I will push back on in terms of what you just said is the Hughes Hronek thing. I am starting to think more and more so that Hughes and Hronek should be split up. Now, I don't think Hughes and Myers is the answer, but I think Hughes and Hronek have shown some cracks together lately, and I kind of want to see Hronek for an extended stretch away from Quinn Hughes. Now, I grapple with this for a couple of reasons. A, because this season matters, right? You want to do your best to win, but I think if that pairing isn't going, like, the rest of your D-core is weak, and you got Cole looking nervous, propping up Juulsen. I thought Zadorov and Myers together last night looked pretty terrible. I'm leaning more and more towards splitting them up. And I think another big thing is, thinking about the future, Hronek, if he keeps this up, if some of his defensive miscues, because I don't think he's been great defensively lately, if some of his defensive miscues are masked by playing with Quinn Hughes and he goes and secures the bag, that could be a long-term problem for this team.
You're getting dark.
I kind of want to see this guy away from Hughes from an extended stretch. I mean, I kind of said it coming into the season, have this guy play with Ian Cole in your second pairing, be that shutdown pairing, see if he can handle it in that role. You might decrease some of his offensive numbers by doing that, and play someone else with Quinn Hughes. Like, the problem is, who's it going to be? Like, for me right now, it's got to be Zadorov. I hate Myers on that pairing. Noah Juulsen doesn't deserve it. I would have Zadorov up there. I would have Hughes right now. I would probably go Hughes, Zadorov, Cole, and Hronek as your top 4, and have Myers and anyone else down there right now. Even like scratch Myers for a game at this point. Like, come on. Like, another gripe with this team right now is the love for Noah Juulsen, and we talked about already. Everydayers know that. We said it, I think, on yesterday's episode, that Noah Juulsen, again, it's only depth defenseman, not the biggest thing in the world, but when that depth defenseman is costing your team games, which I would argue he is right now, you got to sit him. I would sit Juulsen. I would sit Myers. I would have Mark Freeman in the lineup for a game or two, and then, call Akito Hirose or something like that to play on your third pairing. But the D-core needs to be shaken up right now, because I think they don't even know what they're doing. Like you said, Kyle, the D pairs in the second period last night were Hughes, Myers, Cole Hronek and Zadorov Juleson. It just like got thrown into a blender, and then in the third period, it was all back to normal. So it was strange in a number of levels last night. But I rambled a lot there. But maybe before we cut to break, tell me your take on Hughes and Hronek being apart.
I don't know, man. I think personally speaking, I just continue to want to see them together. I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's easy for me to say, but like a clean practice where people are held accountable and the instructions are clear, maybe they can get somewhat of a reset. But with that reset, I think they need to continue to, again, stack up that top pairing and not play Tyler Myers 19 minutes a game. Why are you playing Tyler Myers 19 minutes against the Devils? You got the Wild coming up in a couple days, you know? I don't know, man. I think Rick Tocchet continues to want to like teach lessons in the middle of games, and there's only so many lessons that you can teach. You get what I'm saying? Like, you want to do what you're doing to Kuzmenko. Now you want to play Linus Karlsson instead of PDG, and it's like, why not do that against another team? Because what did Karlsson do to make you feel like, oh, okay, this guy's bringing it, let's take PDG out of the lineup?
Yeah.
There's even little things like, I don't know if he's trying to send a message here. Now I'm nitpicking, but okay, there was a goal that was scored yesterday. I think it was the 5-2 goal. Teddy Bluger, he's chasing down an icing, and it's blown an icing, so he just wasted a ton of gas. Then he takes a face-off because, you know, the icing has you, stand on the ice. He loses the face-off, and the Devils, they draw a penalty. And who's the first guy to penalty kill for the Vancouver Canucks? It's Teddy Bluger. Like, why isn't this guy off the ice, dude? It's pretty hard to win a face-off when you're tired. But I think that Rick Tocchet he's not impressed, and he just wants to, like, teach lessons. Like, no, we're not putting Pettersson and Miller out there. What have they done? Let's teach a lesson. Yeah. It's like, dude, stop teaching so many lessons throughout the game.
Yeah. Teacher Tocchet maybe needs to sit down for a little bit.
Dude, just
we'll talk more about Tocchet.
The players will figure it out. They'll figure it out. The high-end talent will figure it out. I've liked Tocchet. I think he's done a lot of great things. I think he's been the biggest reason why this thing has turned around with Hughes and Miller and Brock Besser and Pettersson and etc. But I don't know. I think he's getting a little power hungry right now, man. Relax. Relax. Too many moves.
Okay, well, let's table that thought, because I have a take on that on the other side. But we do got to cut to a break here on Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Before we get to the other side talking about Tocchet and some of his decisions that he's made recently, I need to ask you, have you ever been stressed out by buying tickets at the last minute? Because I'm a big last minute deals guy, and I found that the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Game Time. Game Time, they got my back, okay? I get these emails from Nicole at Game Time, and she's always teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Game Time also offers me flash deals on last minute tickets. What's a bigger tease than that? Come on, baby. Guess what? Game Time, they got me to that Vancouver Canucks New Jersey Devils game last night. So I got to give Game Time and Nicole at Game Time a lot of credit for that, okay? Not only did I get off my rear end to go check out a local show, but I did so on a Wednesday night. It wasn't even a Friday night, baby. So make sure you snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. I think one of the best bets last week would have been the Packers were like, +7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only did they cover, they freaking won straight up, man. And, Kyle, I've been chirping your Packers during these FanDuel reads all season long. Well, guess what? Your Packers and my Seahawks are now tied in the standings. And I definitely like the Packers' odds of making the playoffs a little better than the Seahawks. So a bit of love for the Packers and Jordan Love there. Canucks got to keep me happy because the Seahawks, man, oh man, starting to disappoint me lately. So whether you're betting on the Seahawks, the Packers, or another NFL team, make sure you place your bets with FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Okay, you're back on another episode of Locked On Canucks, aka the therapy session that I needed, because I think all in all, we will find our way to rationality and more optimism by that time this episode ends. And Beggsy, we did bring up Noah Juleson and how he's been affecting us and disturbing our momentum / giving it away to other teams. He did only play 10 minutes last night. And that's a big reason why Myers picked up 19. I don't like that trade-off, though. I don't like it.
No, they need more depth on the right side. And I think, Ethan Bear is hopefully an answer there. Again, it depends how healthy he is. But I think Mark Friedman's also an answer. It's like, what happened to Mark Friedman? I don't really understand why this guy is now riding the bench, sitting in the press box while Noah Juleson is playing a string of games in a row. Like, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If Mark Friedman was playing ahead of Tyler Myers in the lineup like a month ago. So,
yeah, there you go.
I think it was a strange decision by Tocchet. Not quite sure what happened there. And, I want to kind of touch again on, you talked about Tocchet maybe being a bit too power hungry. And if you're tuning in right now, let us know in the comments, interact with us on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter. Do you think Tocchet is too power hungry right now? Because I see your point, Kyle, but I'm maybe trying to teach too many lessons, right? We talked about it before. The Hughes, the Miller benching from earlier this month. Kind of maybe not giving Miller and Pettersson as much penalty kill ice time. I will say that one, I think, is probably deserved.
But those moves, I think earlier in the season, like the team was doing well. There's a lot of momentum on their side. They've won a ton of games. I could kind of see it. But right now, I don't know if I'm stretching it, but I feel as if they're kind of desperate for some consistency right now because it's been 13 games. It's been a long time.
I think there's a wired and tired kind of take right here you can make right now, right? Like the wired would be the Canucks are 9-6 in November. The Tigers are 6-7 in their last 13 games, right? So I think there are kind of two ways to look at it. But yeah, obviously this team isn't as sharp as they were early in the season. But I think, Tocchet again, it's not about the day-to-day. I think, the coaching staff has to have a bigger picture.
True.
There is a day-to-day element when you're shuffling lines, practicing. And I'm kind of curious what the practice lines were today. Maybe I can pull it up as we're doing this segment. But yeah, I'm a fan of what Tocchet's done. I just think it's more so nitpicking with decisions on the defense. And, I think last night what I did like as well is that he was rewarding guys who were playing well, in my opinion. Like he put Dakota Joshua on the top line for a bit.
Yeah.
And he demoted guys who weren't playing well, like Andrei Kuzmenko. And maybe let's pivot to Kuzmenko and Tocchet quickly because Kuzmenko had another not so good game. He ended up getting relegated to the third line, which, Kuzmenko and Garland on your third line. In a vacuum, that seems pretty good, but it was there for a reason. And Kuzmenko ended up playing the third. He was the third lowest among Canucks in ice time. Only Nils Amon and Linus Karlsson played less than Andrei Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko only played this is at 5-on-5. At 5-on-5, Kuzmenko played 9:28 last night. Obviously, his ice time was boosted a bit by the power play. But what are you seeing from Kuzmenko right now, and what comes next?
Dude, these two need to go to Amsterdam Cafe together, man. They need to become friends. No, straight up, because sooner or later, I don't know if Kuzmenko's gonna ask for a trade, but I could definitely see his confidence be completely destroyed. And he's the type of player that, like most players, need that swagger, needs that confidence, but he seems to be really one of those players that feeds off of having fun. And right now, he's not having any of it. And I think Tocchet alluded to the fact that he's tired of talking about him and just wants him to forecheck, which is cool and all, but I think it's so vital for the relationship between Tocchet and Kuzmenko to be mature right now, be fully understood, be one that's focused on solutions. So yeah, those two need to go to Amsterdam Cafe, man, for real. That's just the truth to me. They need to figure this out because Kuzmenko, if he's not going, bro, it's going to be hard for this team to be really going over the next 55 plus games if your top six includes Dakota Joshua, Sam Lafferty, and then you have Mikheyev and Niels Höglander. There's too many wild cards. You need more certainty. And how are you getting the best out of Pettersson if game in and game out he's going to have to play with two checkers?
Yeah, it's it kind of leads me back to that conversation we had last week. And, sometimes I have good takes, sometimes I have bad takes. And I talked about how I think if I was the Canucks trying to make a move right now, I would target defensemen and centermen over wingers. Now, the way the wingers are looking right now, it's looking a lot more tumultuous than it has in the past, right? Kuzmenko's struggling, so that top line is
That's
in
why.
flux. That second line had PDG as a staple. Now that line's in flux. Now you got Connor Garland playing well but not producing. That line's in flux. And now you got Niels Vaughn, Linus Karlsson on your fourth line. It just seems like the forward group is more discombobulated than it was early in the season. But I do think a part of that is just the fact that they're not winning a bunch of games, right? And I think you don't want to be complacent when you're losing games. You want to make changes, try different things. You also want to make those changes for the right reasons. And I think Amon's deserved a spot in the lineup. I'm okay with sitting PDG for a bit. I think it's probably time to get him back in over Linus Karlsson.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of tumultuous stuff going on up there. And just to bring it back to Kuzmenko, I thought it was very telling last night, to your point, that Tocchet said he's tired of answering questions about him that needs to forecheck. I don't know. Like, if these guys go to the Amsterdam Cafe, what's the first topic of conversation?
It's got to come from Tocchet that's like, yo, look, I support you, man. I want you to be dynamic because, Tocchet needs to understand that he really needs Kuzmenko. Like, you look at what you just brought up. It's the truth. We need Kuzmenko and Pettersson to be dynamic. That was part of the recipe. That was part of the euphoria. That was part of the ecstasy. It needs to work. Like, moving forward, if you're a Canucks fan, sure, thank you very much, Dakota Joshua and Sam Lafferty, but we don't want to see both of you guys play with Pettersson because that's going to take away from Pettersson. It's going to turn him into a different player. But all this being said, one thing you did note earlier that's kind of making me feel a lot better is the fact that, with this head start, and this is why I'm just somebody that's talking ish, right? Like, with this head start, the Canucks do have some legroom to think about the bigger picture and implement the right things. And maybe it's a blessing that we did lose the way we lost last night. Coming back from 5-2, the building was rocking, but boom, another defensive breakdown puts us in the L column. And now you can really learn from it because, yeah, you can't be doing these things later in the season. It's going to cost you way too much. And there is a difference between how the games are feeling now to how they will later in April. It's just the truth. And one thing I will note too, Beggsy, you're doing it. You're healing me as we have this conversation. I did look at Vegas' schedule last year because I was going through it. I need to go to sleep. Like I said, I took sleeping pills. I was looking at Vegas' schedule last year, and they went through 2 stretches where they lost a lot of games in 10-game spans. In fact, one of the stretches was them losing 8 out of 10 games. And they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And they just had a stretch like that earlier this season too, right? So, I think this is trending in a positive direction, which I like.
Yeah.
And let's end the show with a segment that Kyle.
I know we're running out of time, but you tell me what Tocchet should tell Kuzmenko, man. What do you
I'm
think?
going to tell you on the other side.
Okay.
We're going to do one more ad break, and then we're going to end with one good thing, a segment that we were running last year early on in Locked On Canucks when things weren't going so well. But before we end off the show, I got to let you know that when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you could do it all on Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. I love Indeed because I can relate to them. My wife calls me the Flash, and Indeed's got this instant match, okay? The Flash and Instant Match? Talk about your next superhero movie right there, baby. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to U.S. Indeed data. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. So make sure you visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application price not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, we back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bhawan. I'm feeling better. That right there is Trevor Beggs. And again, I'm feeling better. This is why I do this, man. I'm becoming rational. I'm thinking calmer. Again, big picture. It's all good. Stop hating so much. Rick Tocchet is the guy. He's doing this for the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is meaningful games in April. And they're more meaningful if, again, Kuzmenko and Tocchet can get together and be friends. Before we talk more about that, Beggsy, how are you doing, man? I feel as if you're a different guy these days. You're not getting emotional like me at all. You're even keel. It's the parent in you. I watched the game yesterday with my mom, bro. We were down 5-2. My dad's like, oh, they're not winning. I'm going to sleep. He went to bed. Me and my mom stuck around. We tied up the game. We're going nuts. I'm getting happy. And then, boom, Brad scores. And I punched the couch, bro. I punched the couch, and I don't even say bye to my mom. It was a quiet departure. Going through
it. That's hilarious, man. I mean, I'll tie 3 things in here. First and foremost, I'm doing great, man. It was my first game as a fan since in about a year. Like, you and me went to Vegas last November. I hadn't been as a fan in about a year, so it was a lot of fun, man. Lower bowl end zone. It was a good time with my bro. So we enjoyed the entertainment, had a good time. And so I'm doing great. I will say, to answer your question about Kuzmenko and Tocchet, they need to talk about something non-hockey related, like puppies, or what their favorite off-season drink is, or like this one time that they got hammered together. I don't know. One time they got hammered doing dumb crap with teammates. It's just like loosen up, okay?
Yeah, bro.
So I think that's their conversation at Amsterdam Cafe, or just maybe they get into a whole life. Like, what's the meaning of life, man? That's the kind of conversation you have at the Amsterdam Cafe.
Exactly, man. Sorry to cut you off, but I don't want to see Kuzmenko get healthy scratched. Like, work through this, man. Work through this. You're a dynamic player, and the Canucks need you. Tocchet, you need Kuzmenko. You don't need a lineup full of PDGs, Laffertys, Joshuas, Linus Carlsons. Like, relax, buddy. You need Kuzmenko.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great take, buddy. I will say, in terms of, let's end the segment on one good thing. My one good thing is I met a fan of Locked On Canucks last night, man. It made my night.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Brock, Lucio90 on YouTube. We want to start running Canucks Citizen at some point. Have some fans on the show, hear your voice talking to us here on Locked On Canucks, and told Brock to hop on the show, man. But just an absolute beauty, and I feel like he was doing my whole Locked On Canucks thing when he saw me. So it was nice, I made my night, man.
Good, what did he say, man? What did he say? Like, how did he, like, he just came up to you and was like, yo, can you sign my tits?
My buddy was trying to get me to give out an autograph, but come on, I'm just another guy, man. Come on, I'm not signing anybody's.
No, but what did he
chest.
say? Did he walk across and be like, "Yo, you're Beggsy, bro"?
No, I was crossing the street, and he's like, "You're from Locked On Canucks."
Yeah.
He had snuck his beer out of Rogers Arena, man. So good on him. I know they were watching that stuff as we were leaving. So no, Brock's got some silky mitts, man, and it was a fun interaction. We chatted for a few minutes after the game there. So shout out to you, Brock. You made my night, buddy. And if you're listening right now, man, wishing you all the best.
Okay, one more thing before we get out of here. I got to say that, and this is like, I'm about to say some dark stuff, but there's a lot of good in it, okay? So yesterday, right, a lot of good things happened. Did you get there in the beginning of the game? Like, you watched the whole game 60 minutes through, like you were there at the beginning of the first period?
Traffic got in the way. We missed about the first 5 minutes.
Okay, so from what I saw, bro, it had all the makings of being one of the best games ever. And one thing that I really did like was how fast the Canucks were playing. Again, I don't think the Devils beat us with their speed. We were on pace with them. We were doing our things. And 2 players that really stood out for me, I'll put 3 players, okay? Dakota Joshua being one of them, but it was Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. They were throwing the body, bro. They were flying yesterday. JT Miller, what a third period, bro. I see a lot of people, like, talking ish about his defensive play yesterday. Dude, relax, bro. This guy was the motor in the third period. He's such a gamer. Our most valuable piece on some games, man. Real talk, because he could change the game. He did so with that hit, and if we won that game yesterday, bro, the narrative would have felt so different. We'd be laughing. We'd be smiling. But what we would be doing is maybe sweeping a couple things under the rug that would take away from the big picture. And the big picture is making sure these things don't happen in April. Beggsy, sign us out.
Yeah, quick shout out to JT Miller as well. I know you see the numbers after the game and you think, oh man, this guy didn't play very well. He was the best Canuck on the ice last night. JT Miller was incredible, making things happen. You look at any of the goals, I wouldn't have faulted him for any of those goals. So JT Miller, an absolute beauty last night, but no bigger beauty than you listening right now to Locked On Canucks, whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener, a first-time listener, or a new subscriber. We love each and every one of you, and your dogs, cats, and pet snakes as well. Coming up on next episode of Locked On Canucks, we're actually going to chat with Seth Tupal from Locked On Wild, talk about the Canucks and Wild. Two teams who have started the seasons on different levels, but are going in different directions right now, with the Wild winning a few games in a row. Also going to talk about kind of our memories of the 2003 playoff series, and finally, which team would you rather have cheered for over the past 20 years? Because the Wild have been more consistent, but there's been more highs and lows with your Vancouver Canucks. That's coming up on the next episode. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.